Welcome to the Inside Story, a behind-the-scenes look at what's happening here at Andrew Wommack Ministries. And now, here's Andrew.
Welcome to another Inside Story. I'll tell you, I've really enjoyed these because I'm just able to share things about all of the, wonderful things that God's doing in this ministry and through this ministry, things that are really good and they're important. We wouldn't have the full ministry that we have without all these little things, but it's things that I wouldn't just share on our normal television program. So I've really enjoyed doing this, and I hope that you're enjoying seeing what's going on behind the scenes. And today I have with me Gary Luecke, and Gary is the director of our Charis Bible College, and I tell you, Gary and his family have just been a blessing. His daughter Kristen works with us, and she's in our, I guess, accounting department, isn't it?
Works with Damon.
And I tell you, since Gary has been at the helm running our school, it has just increased exponentially. And not only the numbers of people and stuff, but the quality of the school has just really gone up. So, Gary, I appreciate you, brother. You just are helping us to reach people and make an impact that we certainly couldn't do without you.
Well, amen. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
I want you to, first of all, just give us a little background so that the people get to know a little bit about you. Like, how did you hear about the ministry? How did you get drawn to the ministry? What happened?
Okay, well, we were actually out here on vacation out in Colorado back in 2003. And we were here on a family vacation, and we happened to stop by the ministry here to find out.
So you'd heard about the ministry then before you were here on vacation?
Yeah, actually, it was through Gary and Cinda Campbell is how we first started hearing about you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. We met them in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Well, now, Cinda, for those of you wouldn't know this, but Cinda was my very first employee back in Lamar, Colorado. It's taken 300 people to replace her.
But actually, before meeting them, we ended up having Sky Angel, and my wife started watching you on, I believe it was the INSP network, and she told me if she started to watching your broadcast, she goes, you need to get up early and start watching him, because she thought I'd really like your style, your teaching style on the television and that. So I tried it. We woke up early. I think at that time you were coming on at either 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and we began watching you together. That's the way we started out every day of the week, was watching your Gospel Truth broadcast.
And so when was that?
That would have been probably in 2001. Would be the approximate.
So it was what, 2 years later when you came out here on the vacation?
Yes. In the interim there, we attended a couple of your conferences. You were at a church in Chicago. We went to that, and then I believe it might have been your first meeting in Chicago. We attended that as well. So we had some exposure to your ministry through some of the events, and obviously the broadcast. But then we came out here for a vacation, and then we were interested in what the ministry was doing. And through that time, I just kept feeling that there was more to life than what I was currently doing at my corporate job.
And so what was your background? Because, I mean, we've really benefited from all of the stuff you learned in the business world.
I worked for a major automobile finance. It was Toyota and Lexus Financial Services for 13 years prior to leaving in 2003 to attend the Bible college.
And what was your position there?
And I had about 10 different positions since I first started there. And I left as a customer service manager over there, but I had 10 different. I started out repossessing cars.
I bet that was interesting.
That was I've got a lot of stories to tell.
I bet. It prepares you for ministry.
Yeah, it did.
There were some of the same skill sets.
Yeah. Seems funny, but that's true.
That's true.
And then I was like a loan officer, an analyst, wholesale analyst, in sales type thing, and just continued to grow through that organization. But again, while things were great there, salary-wise and benefits and raising the family in a smaller community, I still knew that there was more to life than what I was doing. And I asked myself, if Toyota and Lexus, would you pay my salary for the next several years, what would I go do? And some of the initial thoughts that came, I was looking at maybe buying a business, Hawaii, just vacationing somewhere. I mean, those honestly came through my mind. But very quickly, I can honestly say, let's come out to the Bible college and just learn these truths. Because, watching you on television, it was different than what I had been raised with and what I had been hearing. In a sense, those teachings just, instilled something that there is more. There is a plan and there is a purpose for what, my life.
But you had a good corporate position, plus the people watching this don't know how many kids you have. You had a lot of needs.
I did, and that was honestly my biggest struggle.
How many children?
I have 5 children, and back in 2003, my youngest was 2, and my oldest was, I believe, 12 or 13, and then everything in between. And so that was the biggest challenge. Was I always said God was my provider, but when it came down for the determining, do I really believe that? I had to go through quite a process to, am I really willing to leave this job and truly have God provide for me while I'm going to school here? So that took a little bit to get through.
And we have hundreds of people that have to make that same decision every year when they come to school, because it's one thing to say God's your provider, but to leave a secure position in your family and all of this, it's a huge step.
Yeah. It's easy to believe for something you don't really need to do or need to have. Whether it's a healing, if you're healthy, it's easy to say you believe in healing. Or if you have a great job, yes, God's my provider through that. But when you challenge that, you really have to get real with yourself. I was, in a sense, I like to say smorgasbording the gospel. I pick and choose which promises I'll bite and I can hang on to. And it was all based on what I'm going through, or really what I'm not going through. And but it really did cause me to search the Word and what am I going to trust, and how. So
how did you know that God wanted you to come? Is it just this thing about your desire, what you would do if you didn't have to worry about?
There was a bit of that. That revealed what was in my heart, and I knew that He gave us the desires of our heart, and it really came down to trust. Was I really going to trust Him? But I did feel like, it wasn't an audible voice or anything, but like deep down in my heart, I just felt like I needed to come and learn these truths. And I wasn't, to be honest with you, everybody asked you, oh, you're going to be a pastor. They saw pastor qualities in me, and everybody was saying, are you going to be a pastor? And I really felt kind of bad that I had no idea what I was doing. I'm leaving all this and, forsaking all the things that we had and family relationships, and just to do this and have no idea what I'm coming to Bible college for. But it was simply to learn these truths.
Boy, this is so good, Gary, because there's people watching this right now that they have the exact same desires, but because they don't have a clear destiny or what they're going to use it for, they just are letting these desires go. But it was through these desires.
It was.
That God led you here. He didn't show you the end result.
No, not at all.
Boy, it sure worked out to my advantage. I know it's been a blessing for me. I hope it's been a blessing for you.
It's been good. And one of the things I believe the Lord showed me, just again through the heart, was it wasn't, even though I had the 5 children and Diane, my wife, I felt like the Lord showed me that it wasn't just about me, even though I was the one coming through the school. And I didn't understand that. Like, how could it just be, not just be about me when I'm the one doing things? And even 5 years into this, I was still questioning, like, Lord, how is this beyond me? Because I felt like I was doing things. And then it's just evolved, and I believe it was revealed, like, well, look at your daughter, and Kristen, the oldest, she's now 23, but she came through 4 years of the Bible college herself now and has been on staff at the ministry, as you already mentioned.
She is a super godly lady.
Yeah.
I really love Kristen, and she's got a little saying up on her desk. Do you remember how it's saying?
No.
It was something about any potential husband or man that she wants to be.
A woman's heart should be so hidden in God that he he
I don't
should
know
have
that-
to search God to really, I can't remember.
that she'd
you
be
know, how
so
that
deep
goes.
into God that he'd have to
Yeah.
go through God to get to her or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that. But
yeah.
anyway,
She
I tell you,
believes
she's a
that.
great lady.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
like her.
In this, so it's really comforting to know that, you know, your children are following the Lord.
Oh, that's awesome. And you got
following the
another
plan.
daughter that's in school.
And I have a 21-year-old daughter that she's gone through YWAM and been on 4 different mission trips, and felt like the Lord showed her she needs to come to CBC. And it's kind of the same thing. There's things here to be learned that, you know, we didn't teach at home. And as much as you think you're doing the right thing and discipling your own children, there's the amount of word that the school exposes one to is just incredible. And she just finished her first year and going on to her second year, and she just marvels at all the teachers and the instruction and what she is learning, you know, through, you know, really getting a proper revelation of God's true nature.
So you came to school in what, 2002?
I started in 2003.
Oh, 2003.
Yes, and graduated in 2005.
And then what happened after that?
And then I did my third year. I went through the internship, and I thought I was going to be moving to Tennessee, and I was just going to go back into work and maybe start a little home church or do something that way. And took a little come-see-go trip to Tennessee, and had plans. My job here was ending. My part-time job that I was doing, my lease was up here. And obviously school, the third year was up, and planning on moving there. And man, as soon as we just checked it out, within days, it was like, this is not it. And I actually had more peace to bring the family back and to basically nothing here than to move them out to Tennessee. I just followed that peace. And it was within a week or so that Linus Lefevre and David Hardesty started talking to me about running the night school. And so the conversation started. So end of May of 2006 it would have been, I actually began the first night school class. And then Linus and Kay had shortly left.
Now they were the previous directors
and administrator of the school. And that's when David asked would I be interested in also running, being the administrator for the day school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started really running the day school as an administrator.
So how long did you do that?
I did that for 4 years, and Wendell Parr was the director at that time, so I worked with Wendell real close, and I've learned a lot through you and Wendell.
Well, I need to tell this part of the story to give my perspective,
yeah.
but when Wendell, the school was growing so quickly, and World Outreach, which Wendell was doing both, were growing so quickly, I said, you're going to have to choose between the two. Wendell wanted to travel, and so he chose World Outreach, which meant we had a void in the school. And Gary was the one that was directing the school, administering it, running it for all practical purposes. He was the logical person to have do it. But I went to Gary the very first thing, and I told him, I said, Gary, you're the logical guy. You've already been doing this, and you could take it over, but I said, you don't have any experience in ministry. And I said, so I'm going to look for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I told Gary that, and you know what? You were just so nice about it. You didn't say a word. You didn't complain. I don't know how you felt, but you didn't voice any criticism. And I don't remember the exact length of time, but it was what, 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
2 or 3 months. I even offered the directorship of the school to other ministers who had been at it a very long time, and I felt would bring so much more to the table. And one day I was talking to Larry Bozeman, and I had told him about exactly what I said, and he says, I've been praying about this. You ought to reconsider Gary Luecke. And that very day, the Lord had spoken to me about the same thing, and I said, you know, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And that's when I went in and talked to you, and anyway, we put you in as the director of the school, and it's only been 3 complete years.
Yes.
And I tell you, Gary, it is phenomenal. What has happened, not only the growth of the school, but just the whole concept of the school. Mm-hmm. Like we've added the healing school, which I had mentioned something like that, but it was dead in the water. We didn't have any way to get it done. You took that and have made it work. The third year program has just expanded dramatically.
Yeah.
It's tremendous. Just give a little bit of information to the people about what the differences are since you took over the school, about some of the things that have happened.
Well, to answer your question as far as how did I feel when you said that I wasn't the person, I actually agreed with you.
Did you?
I did. Because
you never told me what you felt.
Well, I wasn't going to tell you that part of it. But I did. I actually agreed because the ministry experience just wasn't there. I had a lot of management experience in running things, in managing people, but the actual ministry experience, and I thought, well, for a director, you needed that. And my heart's been for the school. It's not about any individual. And so I actually, agreed. But yeah, there's been a lot of different things that have happened. I've graduated with 70 people in 2005, and this last year we graduated 203.
Wow.
This last graduating class. And but I think
word
is getting out. We've started the healing school. And not just here. By the way, the healing school, we're averaging about 250 live viewers just via the live stream right now. And so that's gained a lot of popularity. We have anywhere from 70 to 150 actually attending here on a weekly basis.
And we've seen some awesome miracles.
The miracles that are being recorded.
We've seen Tourette's syndrome heal, which is absolutely incurable, and I don't even remember all of them. I remember one lady that had a broken leg or something that was healed. Just lots of miracles.
Yeah. But really, I believe some of the ideas that we have come with goes with your philosophy of training up people, and your emphasis on discipleship. In this healing school, it's the students that are praying with the people.
There's been, I think, 400 students or more that have been trained.
Yes.
And so they actually do the ministry. Plus, I take them with me to my Gospel Truth seminars and Gospel Truth rallies. And boy, what an asset they are. They're seeing more people healed at our meetings than when I was doing all of the praying, and that just really blesses me.
That's really good.
That's awesome.
So it goes with that theme, and then of course the third year was your idea to start expanding the third year, because you knew that we did a great job with preparing the student, preparing their hearts, and just getting a proper understanding of who God is, but we were missing it in regards to them going into ministry. And so you had the idea of we need to come up. We had a third year program, but it wasn't.
Well, you went through the third year program. We called it an apprenticeship, but this is not exactly right, but in a sense, it was just slave labor.
Yeah.
We used you guys that were in third year to make this school work, and figured that by doing that, you would gain a lot of experience about what goes on.
It's a servanthood type of an apprenticeship, and that's okay, but we knew it could be more.
Yeah, and it wasn't really preparing the students to go to the next level. It was using you, and you were gaining experience by it. Right. But what's happening in the third year now? I mean, like some of the testimonies and things that are coming out of it.
The students will tell you that the third year is the best out of all 3 years. I constantly hear that. For the last couple of years, those are the testimonies that are coming out. And since then, we have the School of Ministry, we have the School of Business, School of Worship, School of Media, and now this year a new one is coming on, is the School of Missions. In that, so we've really segregated some of the studies and really trying to prepare people for the different parts of ministry. But then we also, the last 2 hours, we bring everybody together, and they still get a core teaching of a variety of different topics that just everybody needs going into ministry.
Well, let me just say that I came up with this idea that we needed something in between our 2-year program, and I talked about the third year, and I came up with like 7 different categories. I think we started with 2 or 3 the first year. I can't even remember.
I think we just started with 1, and then we just continued.
But anyway, my point is that I had some of the concepts, so it's like, it's not totally your vision or your school. God gave me some of these things, but then you are the one that puts all the flesh and the meat on this, and you have become proactive in like this mission school that we're just starting this year. You're the one that talked to Del, Ron, Shirley, and got all of that going. And I am just so blessed. I want all of you to know that the inside story, the rest of this story is, that I come up with an idea and then Gary makes it work. And he takes his people and they just sit down, and it's tremendous what you're doing. I mean, the third-year program has become in many respects the best part of the entire college experience.
Yeah, it really
It's tremendous.
Yeah.
So tell a little bit about these third-year programs. What are, tell them about the missions program. That's a brand new one.
The missions program is, and you've already mentioned, being led by Del Ron Shirley, and he was the dean, or he ran the school for Lester Sumrall.
Yeah, quality people that God's sending us. I mean, we've got the best people on the planet.
Yeah, we do. We do. He ran Lester Sumrall School for like 25 years, I believe, and sent him out to Colorado Springs, and then we were able to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And his heart is to travel and go out on the missions, and that's one of the reasons why he didn't want a staff position here, is he wanted to go out. And he leads some of our mission trips in second year. But so this third year, we just want to train up students that really have a heart to go to another country, and whether it's work at a church or another ministry or an extension school or an orphanage or whatever. But we want to just further prepare them to go out in another country and minister.
So this missions track is specifically focused on just getting people into foreign missions.
Yes.
And aren't they, you would be able to tell the details, but aren't they going to actually go to Haiti during part of their...
They'll learn how to raise money and do the different things that way. But for 6 weeks, we have a contact established in the Dominican Republic. And that they're going to spend 6 weeks with an evangelist there, and I don't think he's a pastor, but they've been in ministry for about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they've
Our
agreed,
students love going there.
Oh yeah, they really part into the students. So it's not just them ministering, the students going out and ministering, but it's really about even these leaders parting back into them, what they have learned over the 30 years. As well. So it's really a hands-on, you have the training part of it, the classroom training, but we really want to focus, and really this is true for all the third-year schools, is really the hands-on application of going into ministry. And that's why we want them to go out and experience it, in another country.
And all of your business skills really come to play in like that. Like, I don't even have a clue how you schedule everything. Like, how many guest speakers did we have in just the third year alone last year?
I don't know what it is the third year, but I did count up, and we had over 90 different speakers come into the school last year.
And you have to coordinate all that with our normal deal. And then I'm always changing my ministry because and you have to put something in over here, and
it's a real challenge.
It's like juggling 90 different things all at once. I don't know how you do it. You got a great staff too. God has given you some good people.
Yeah, the Lord has brought it's really, I think, a lot of the staff is what makes the school.
Like, I know the lady that helps run our missions program, Michelle Patterson. I don't remember the details, but didn't she grow up in like a motor home?
Well,
and they just traveled?
Well, her father, I believe I'll have this story right.
Okay.
They came from Alabama, and her dad owned a bus company, and she would actually coordinate a lot of the tours and actually go on the tours.
Okay, well, that's what it was. I knew that she spent her whole life just traveling.
Yeah.
And she's the one that coordinates all of our missions programs, and boy, she is just so efficient at it. Does a great job.
She does a great job, and she's actually leads about 4 trips a year now. And so she handles all the meetings, teaches a course on getting them prepared for the short-term mission trip. And she's just excited. She's happy, and she's fulfilling what God has called her.
And I have had the people from the Dominican Republic, Germany, different places. They have responded back to me and given me so many compliments on Michelle and our students. And like in Germany, I forgot the details, but the very first trip, I think that they were told how it's such a hard place. These people are hardened, and I think they might have seen one person born again. Mm-hmm. The second year they went back and saw like 15 or something. In the third year, they just said, we aren't accepting this. And they went back and they saw hundreds of people. And the people that are the missionary contact over there, they said now churches are contacting them, say, could we please have a CBC group? Because it's a life-changing thing. They have a revival.
Yeah. It's exciting because a lot of colleges, it's all classroom learning and theory. But you know, one of the things with our second year is we emphasize the fact you need to go out in the practical ministry side of it. So the requirement to take them on a foreign mission trip really gets them out there, and while they're still being shown things out on that mission field, they're impacting thousands and thousands of people. I know when we go down to Nicaragua with the Jollies, and I was on a trip about 3 or 4 years ago, and I factored in that we touched at least 3,500 people. Most of them were children, but that's the quantity that, you know, through their various schools and the different, and that's all within a week's time.
And it changes the people that go on these trips. I mean, they are never the same.
It does. It does. It's really a special time. Some of the students come back and say, God's told me I'm going to go do this. And it's shown to them out on the field when they're out there. So. Now
explain a little bit about how we finance this. Who pays for these missions trips?
The mission trips, we had last year we spent about $350,000 sending a little over 200 people on these trips. And the students don't necessarily have to pay for this. They earn points. We have a point system. And all the funds that come in through, we do a walk-a-thon where they will send out letters to the people that they know, and requesting and letting them know that this is a requirement for their second year graduation, and all the money goes into a pool. We hold different events, the Men's Advance, Campus Day, Summer Bible Conference, and the students serve. And I believe the Men's Advance, it takes about 150 students to put one of those on. And so they earn points for being a server there, for being an usher, for being a prayer minister. So many points are assigned per function and per evening, per event. And so they just accumulate points, and each mission trip is assigned a point, a total point structure that they must meet. And so they have plenty of opportunity. The healing school, they get points every week for working that and being a part of that as well. So
that not only pays for the trip, but it also teaches them that you don't just go ask people for money. Money follows ministry.
Right.
And as they participate in ministering to other people, God supplies all of this need.
Yeah.
So that's really an important part of our school, is these second year trips. That's one of the things that sold me on doing the school, and it's just awesome.
It really is. It just the side of practical ministry, again, taking them to the GTSs or GTRs, the students, and just giving them the opportunity to put into practice what they learned all in first year. It's so wonderful.
All right, here's another thing I want to bring out, and this is something that's still being developed. So this is a preliminary. We can't officially announce all this. But when I was with David Barton, he made a statement that, boy, do you remember what it was now? 70 to 83%, isn't it?
Something like that, 70 to 88 or some percent.
Of the Christian kids that go to secular university renounce their faith after being exposed to all of this stuff. And boy, that impacted me. I came back and shared it with you. And it really impacted you too. And so anyway, we have decided that we've got to do something to change this statistic. And so we're in the process. Tell them what we're in the process of talking about doing here in our Bible college to be able to help this.
Well, we're bringing in a little bit different. We're changing our curriculum just a little bit by seeing if David Barton would come in and teach on some of the early government and the morals. We're creating a class of biblical morals and things that way. But we really want to emphasize in our curriculum, the importance of establishing a firm foundation and things that way.
Specifically, I'm wanting to bring in the teaching on creationism.
Creation?
Because I really believe that that's where a lot of people lose their faith, is because they are presented that evolution is scientific, it's fact, and if it is fact, it totally violates what the Bible has to say about our beginnings, and that's where a lot of people lose their confidence in what they've been taught, is because of that one thing. So I really want to make a big deal. We're going to bring in, I won't mention the names because we haven't got them all scheduled yet, but we've contacted some of the leading creation scientists to come, and we're wanting them to present creationism versus evolution, and deal with it not only from a biblical perspective, but from a scientific perspective, showing that the science for evolution is faulty. It's not there. And then also we want to teach on moral issues like homosexuality, adultery, and just, our society is becoming increasingly more ungodly all of the time. And if you just take the average Christian kid that maybe has been homeschooled and put them into an environment where everything that they've ever been told is challenged, the statistics are that the vast majority renounce their faith. So we're wanting to change our curriculum and allow people to come to CBC. If they feel called to go to just a secular college, we want to make it so that they could come here for 1 year and at least get the basics, the foundation, before they go out there into that. And I think CBC, this is going to be a huge service we can render to the body of Christ.
You know, I had a little trouble with that statistic at first. It was almost like hard to believe. And I was talking to my second daughter, Emma. She went to a local community college, for a year or so. And so I started asking her what the classes were like. And they're smaller, 25, 30 people in these classes. And she pretty much verified it. I mean, the instructors that are, a lot of ungodly thoughts and views and values out there that these instructors are putting out there.
Well, even if you were to take away the evolutionist teaching and stuff like that, they are liberal,
very liberal
to the max.
Yeah.
And I mean, they do not believe in morality. They promote everything that the Bible stands against.
Yeah.
And it's not a healthy environment.
No, it's not.
If you were to take your children and send them into a situation where you knew that they had an 88% chance of contacting some fatal disease, I can guarantee you at the very least would inoculate them. If not, just keep them from going.
Yeah.
And yet Christians are sending their kids out into these ungodly environments that have been totally taken over by the ungodly, and they don't have any preparation for it.
And paying an ungodly amount for tuition.
That's right.
In order
Plus,
to do that.
you were talking about Kristen and Emma, but they are getting things at the Bible college that even though they were brought up in a Christian home, they just didn't get.
Yeah.
The home teaches a lot. I'm not trying to minimize that at all, but you don't get the concentration of teaching. Plus, we have, like you said, these 90-something and different guest speakers that come through that are anointed by God, some of the most anointed men and women on the planet, and you just as a family cannot do all of the things that can be accomplished in the Bible college.
And when you look at who is instructing here at Charis, I believe every one of our instructors of our core curriculum have at least 25 years of ministry experience. And,
that's huge.
As a parent, you don't have that.
No.
And so you have the life skills and the general, and you could do different Bible studies and read the Bible and all that, but when you're getting this type of concentrated teaching from all of these seasoned, I call them seasoned ministers, there's no place like Charis Bible College. I truly believe that. I know I work here and all that. I'm partial, but it's the truth.
So say just a little bit about some of the instructors. Give a little bit of background, because I really agree with you that we've got, I think, the most gifted, anointed, and not only their quality of ministry, but their heart. The people that are here,
I believe.
One of the things I asked a person just straight out, I said, what's the difference between this school and another school that they had graduated from? And out of all the things they could have said, what they said was, it's the heart of the instructors. They said nobody is here to build their ministry. There is zero competition, and there is a total unity they are trying to impart into the students.
Yeah, I believe that. Some of our instructors, I'll start with Wendell Parr. He's our current director of World Outreach, but he was a pastor for, I believe, over 20 years.
Yeah, I tell people 150.
We're
always jabbing with each other.
Yeah, but he and Linda pastored a church for many years, and actually was one of the founding instructors here at Charis Bible College in 1994, and went to England and started the school in England, and came back and continues to instruct and travel all over the world. And
everybody loves Wendell. They love his teaching on the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And he can always work food into any sermon. I don't know how he does that.
Prime rib.
That's right.
And everybody loves Wendell. And again, they speak from their heart. They have all these years that they've just had an opportunity to chomp on the Word, for lack of a better word, and they're just prepared to share it. And they've got the heart to go with the Word, and the wisdom and the understanding, and they just have a true desire. I believe it's just the purest form of discipleship. And again, it's not just theory. They've lived it out. They're living it out, and they're just sharing what they know. You have Barry Bennett, now our Dean of Students.
Let me just comment on Barry, that in this process, in between when I told you I want somebody with more experience, I went and I found out that Barry had run a Bible school. He had been a missionary in, Chile?
Yeah.
For a number of years, and they said he was like the Billy Graham of Chile. That, man, he was just really effective, and God used him. And I didn't offer him the job, but I just asked him, I said, Barry, I've heard that you've done all of this. Would you be interested in running CBC? And he told me no, that he loves to minister. He would love to be a part of CBC, but he didn't feel like that was God's calling. And at that time, all he was doing was answering email for us. So, this would have been a huge promotion for him. And yet this reflects this attitude that we're talking about, that he's not there to build his kingdom. He wanted what was best for the school, and he honestly felt like somebody else would be a better director.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great attitude, and it's in all of these instructors.
They know what they're called to do.
And they love Barry.
Yeah. Students just love Barry, one of the favorites.
And you're really responsible for getting him in the school, because you had heard, I guess, just being on staff here about
being on staff, and I want to say it might have been Kristen, my oldest daughter, that heard that, who Barry was. I really didn't even know who he was in the phone center, and just shared some of that, and it's like, okay, so then I talked to him and brought him in on a chapel hour, I believe, and it just took off from there. I think he had the highest number of requested CDs ever.
And given a standing ovation is what I heard after he ministered. I mean, the students immediately loved him, and after seeing that, you started bringing him in on a regular basis.
A little bit more and more, and then an opening came up, and we brought him on staff, and now he's the dean and still does all the teaching and that, but there's a part of him, he pastored a church in Chile, so he knows he's not just a teacher, he does love the students as well.
Oh, he's a blessing. And anyway, we're about out of time, but we could go on and on. Arthur Mainches, or however you say his name, he's one of our adjunct faculty.
Yeah, from South Africa.
But boy, the students love him. And Lawson Purdue has the church next door, and Lawson has been associated with me since he was 14 years old. Came to a Bible study of mine and got called into the ministry. And every person that is in this school feels like that this is what God has called them to do. Nobody's using it as a stepping stone to anything. They are here because God's called them, and it's just awesome. And Gary, I really appreciate you being at the helm, brother. You're doing an awesome job. And
thank you.
So anyway, I hope that those of you who watched the Inside Story today will get to see a little bit behind the scenes about Gary Luecke, the man who's helping put all this together, and you can see why God is blessing us so much. I tell you, it's just tremendous. And as we were doing this, there's a number of times, Gary, that I really felt like there were some people just being drawn to CBC. So if that's you, we would love to have you. Amen. You need to follow that desire just like Gary talked about. And even if you don't have the full plan and know exactly what the end results would be, if you feel this tugging in your heart that Gary was talking about, I just pray that you'll at least begin to start making some steps in that direction and check it out and go see what God has for you. But thanks for being a part of this, and we'll see you next time on The Inside Story.